Some, however, allow divine providence to proceed to these particulars, but for certain mediating reasons. For Plato posited, as Gregory of Nyssa says, a threefold providence, the first of which is that of the Most High God, who first and principally provides for his own, that is, for all things spiritual and intellectual, but consequently to the whole world as regards genera and species and universal causes which are the heavenly bodies. But the second is that which is provided for the particulars of animals and plants, and of other generable and corruptible things as regards their generation and corruption and other changes. Plato ascribes this kind of providence to the gods who surround the sky. Aristotle, however, attributes the causality of these to an oblique circle. But the third providence sets forth the things that pertain to human life. This indeed he attributes to certain demons existing around the earth, who are, according to him, the guardians of human actions. But still, according to Plato, the second and third providences depend on the first, for God the Most High has established the second and third providers. This position, however, is in harmony with the Catholic faith, insofar as it brings the providence of all back to God as the first author. Now it seems to be inconsistent with the opinion of faith, insofar as it says that not all particulars are directly subject to divine providence. This can be shown from the premises. For God has immediate knowledge of particulars, not as though knowing them only in their causes, but also in themselves, as was shown in the first part of this work. Now it seems incongruous that, knowing the particulars, he does not will their order, in which their chief good consists, since his will is the principle of all goodness. It is necessary, therefore, that just as he immediately knows particulars, so he immediately establishes their order. Further, the order which is established by providence in things governed proceeds from that order which the provider arranges in his mind, just as the form of art which is made in matter proceeds from that which is in the mind of the artist. Now where there are many providers, one under the other, it is necessary that the superior hand over the concept of order to the inferior, just as the inferior art receives its principles from the superior. Therefore, if the second and third providers are supposed to be under the first provider, who is the supreme God, it is necessary that they receive the order to be established in things from the supreme God. Now it is not possible for this order to be more perfect in them than in the highest God, since all perfections proceed from him to others by way of descent, as is clear from the foregoing. Now it is necessary that there should be an order of things in the second providers, not only in the universal, but also as regards particulars. Otherwise, they could not by their own providence establish an order in particulars. Therefore, there is much more order of particulars in the disposition of divine providence. In those things which are governed by human providence, it is found that a superior provider devises by himself how they are to be ordered with regard to certain great and universal things. But he does not himself devise the order of the smallest, but leaves it to other inferiors to devise. And this indeed happens because of his deficiency, inasmuch as he is ignorant of the conditions of even the smallest singularities. Or it is not sufficient to devise the order of all, on account of the labor and protracted time which would be required. But defects of this kind are far from God, for he himself knows all particulars, nor does he labor in understanding, or requires time when he understands himself to know all other things, as was shown above. He therefore devises the order of all things and particulars. Therefore his providence is immediate to all particulars. Again, in human affairs the inferior providers by their industry devise an order in those whose government is entrusted to them by the president. Indeed, they do not have this energy from the presiding man, nor the use of it. But if they had it from a superior, the ordination would already be done by the superior, and they themselves would not be the providers of that ordination, but the executors. Now, it is clear from what has been said above that all wisdom and understanding is caused by the highest God in all intelligent people. Nor can any intellect understand anything except by divine power, just as no agent works except in so far as it acts by its own power. It is therefore God himself who directs all things by his providence. But those who are called providers under him are the executors of his providence. In addition, the higher providence gives rules to the lower providence. Just as a politician gives rules and laws to the leader of an army, who gives laws and rules to centurions and tribunes. If, therefore, there are other providences under the first providence of the supreme God, it is necessary that God give to those second or third providers the rules of his government. He therefore either gives them universal rules and laws, or particular ones. But if he gives them universal rules of government, since universal rules cannot always be applied to particulars, especially in movable things, which do not always behave in the same way, it would be necessary that those providers of the second or third sometimes, in addition to the rules given to them, regulate the matters subject to their provision. They would therefore have a judgment on the accepted rules, when it was necessary to act according to them, and when it was necessary to ignore them. That cannot be, because this judgment belongs to a higher one, for it is his to interpret the laws and administer in them, and his to establish them. Therefore, given the universal rules, this judgment must be made by the supreme provider. Indeed, this could not have been the case if he had not directly involved himself in the organization of these particulars. It is therefore necessary, according to this, that he should be the immediate provider of these. But if the second and third providers receive particular rules and laws from the supreme provider, it is evident that the organization of these particulars takes place directly by divine providence. It is therefore necessary, according to this, that he should be the immediate provider of these. But if the second and third providers receive particular rules and laws from the supreme provider, it is evident that the organization of these particulars takes place directly by divine providence. It is therefore necessary, according to this, that he should be the immediate provider of these. If, however, the second and third providers receive particular rules and laws from the supreme provider, it clearly appears that the organization of these particulars takes place directly through divine providence. Further, the superior provider always has the judgment about what is ordered by the inferior providers, whether they are well ordered or not. Therefore, if the second providers or the third are under God, the first provider, it is necessary that God has a judgment about the things that are ordered by them. This indeed cannot be if he does not consider the order of these particulars. He, therefore, by himself, takes care of these particulars. Still, if God by himself does not directly care for these inferior particulars, this is only because he despises them, or lest his dignity be defiled by them, as some say. But this is unreasonable, for it is more worthy to devise the organization of some by providence than to work in them. If therefore God works in all things, as has been shown above, and in this nothing is derogated from his dignity, it pertains to his universal and supreme power. In no way is he to be despised or his dignity tarnished, if he has direct foresight regarding these particulars. Again, every wise man who prudently uses his virtue regulates the use of his virtue in action, ordering to what and how much it should reach. Otherwise, virtue would not follow wisdom in action. Now it is clear from the foregoing that the divine power in working reaches down to the lowest of things. Therefore, the divine wisdom is ordinal, who and how many and in what manner the effects are to be advanced from its power, even in the lowest things. He is therefore immediately by his own providence devising the order of all things. Hence it is said that Romans 13:1, things that are of God are ordered, and Judith 9:4, you did the former things and thought them after them, and this happened as you yourself willed.